Morning, everyone. Hope you are well today. Thanks for joining us this week for our weekly webinar on a Thursday at 11:30. Today, we're going to chat about managing your products and services online through Netcash Shop. In today's session, I want to cover adding your products, bulk product imports, bulk product updates, product images and descriptions, your product attributes, product options, digital products, tax and shipping, and your related products. To get started, you would navigate to your Netcash Shop admin panel, and under the Store Management tab, Catalog, you would go to Products. Click on Products, and on the right-hand side, you would see that your product menu opens up. Start by adding a new product. You can see at the top there are several headings. You've got your general, your attributes, your options, your files, your tax and shipping, your SEO, related products, and your buy now button. Today, we're not going to touch on SEO and we're not going to touch on buy now button. We will save those for another session. To get started with your first product, you would need to give your product a name in the field provided, add your SKU number. Weight, you can add if you decide to do shipping by weight, but for this example, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say that the product requires shipping. Your description would be a good description on your product, what it does, and what your customer needs it for. So I always say that your online shopper does not have a sales assistant in store to sell the product to them. So your product description becomes your salesperson. This is a good place to say what the product is, what it does, why the customer would need it, what solution it solves, and the more detailed information about the product specifications. If it's an electronic product, the voltage, the watts. And every time you make a change to your product, you would need to save. You will have a blue banner at the top of your screen, as you can see, with the save button. Make sure you save every time you see that button. And then on the right-hand side, you can actually see if you wanted to add a new product, duplicate the product, or skip from products backwards and forwards. You can do that as well from the main menu. When it comes to product images, it is extremely important to make sure that your product images are clear and that the customer can see different angles of the product, unless you are selling something that doesn't need to be visually represented. But you should always have a main image, different angles of the product, a close-up. Especially if you're selling fashion, it's always a good idea to have a close-up of any detail so you can actually see the kind of fabric as well. And then at the bottom of the screen, you can see that the images would be uploaded and you would drag them left and right to put them in the right order that you would like your customers to see them. So drag to sort. Then you get to the pricing of your product. So you would add your pricing. This would be the selling price that your customer would see in your online store. And you can also manage the product availability and your product stock. So if you look at pricing specifically, you would have your main price, which would be the selling price. You can also add a compare to price. If you were to add the compare to price, this would be for a product that you were running on sale or you were marking down. So you would say that your selling price would be 100 Rand and the compare to price would be 150 Rand, so the higher value. Basically, it's saying the product was 150 Rand, it's now 100 Rand. And if you look on the right-hand side, you would see that the product was and then has a strike through. It shows you a percentage markdown and it shows you the actual selling price. You can also choose if you wanted to show a Rand value or a percentage markdown in the compare to price settings. Another option is the bulk discounting. So on the left-hand side, you can see I've used an example to say any quantity. So if you order between 5 and 9 products, you will only pay 130 Rand per item instead of 150. If you buy 10 or more products, you would pay 115 Rand per item instead of 150. On the right-hand side, you can see how your customer would view the information on the front end. So they would go into the product to decide if they're going to add to cart and choose their quantity. And below the add to bag button, you can see quantity, 5 items, 130 Rand each, and that's 13% off. So obviously, as your customer buys more, you would give them a higher discount. After bulk discount pricing, you also have the pay what you want function. This would obviously be specific to certain industries, but what you can do is almost create an auction for your product or offer the client the ability to pay more than a specific amount, and you would set the lowest amount. So in this case, we've enabled pay what you want, and we've said that the bid or that the customer could pay no less than 150 Rand, and the customer would add their amount in there and add to bag. And when the customer checks out, the value that they added into that field would show in their cart. Then your product availability. So again, all of these slides that I'm running through are available on the main product landing page that I showed at the beginning, and I will show you the different tabs in the next slides as well. So product availability, you can set this to enabled, which means that the product would show available for sale. And you can also manage your stock. So you've got two different options when it comes to stock. Either you can set the available amount that you have. Alternatively, you could have a product that is either digital or that you have unlimited amounts of stock available, and you could then set it to unlimited. So on the left-hand side, I've said that I have 100 units of this particular product in stock, and I would like to get a notification when the quantity of the stock left reaches 10. So I'm saying when 10% of my stock is left in the warehouse, I would like a notification that I need to place an order for new stock so that I don't run out of stock and miss sales. On the right-hand side, you can see that I've chosen to reflect the amount of stock I have in stock, and you can hide that if you want to, but I think it's always great, especially if you have lower units of stock available. It creates an urgency for the customer to check out and add the product to their cart. In the Netcash Shop admin panel, you can set up the low stock notification emailers, and you would be able to preview them. This is an example of a preview. Basically, you would receive an email to your admin email address with a low stock notification telling you how many you have left and the SKU number and product name. Next, on your main product loading page, you would be able to assign categories to the product. You could choose if you wanted to feature the product on your store's front page, so on your home landing page. You could add product ribbons or widgets where you would want to call out a specific feature about the product, or they might be on sale, for instance. And then you could add a product title, which would be a very short description of your product that is displayed to the customers while shopping on your front end. I'll break these down in the next slides as well, so you can see an example of each. So basically, if you're going to assign products to your categories, it can become a bit complicated if you have quite a large product listing, and loading or assigning the products to categories by at product level can be quite difficult. So you can also, in your main navigation menu, you can find the categories tab below products, and you can actually go into the categories and create the root categories and the subcategories, and then assign products in bulk from that tab. But for this example, we are doing it at product level, and you would open up the drop down and you would be able to select which product or which categories you wanted your products to show in. This is an example of the product ribbon I mentioned earlier. You can customize your color, and you can customize your text. So for this example on the left, we've added a free shipping banner to our chocolate donut. Mentioned earlier was the subtitle. So the subtitle is a short description of the product that would show on the front end, on the product landing page, as well as on the product display page. You can see on the left-hand side, highlighted in blue, is the product subtitle. You can also bulk update your products. So basically you can choose, you could select all products and do a bulk price change or a bulk stock update. You can also choose to export all of your products if you wanted to do, let's say, a mass cleanup where you wanted to edit product names, descriptions, pricing, and any other product attributes. You could export into Excel or CSV and you can then do a bulk import again to overwrite and add your changes. But there are lots of options to do bulk changes to your products, so you wouldn't need to go in and do them one by one. When it comes to bulk import of products, we've got quite a few options available. Basically, you could export your product catalog from another platform and import it into Netcash Shop. This could be done in Microsoft Excel with an Excel sheet in different columns, or you could do a CSV file. We use the UTF-8 for your character encoding, and you can choose if you wanted to do comma or tab or space delimited. What you would do is line up the columns by selecting your import columns. You can drag and drop the different fields and make sure that everything aligns, and then do the bulk import, and your products would display under your product tab. On the right hand side, you can just see a slight zoom on what options you have available for product imports. When it comes to product imports as well, you can import your images, but you can import the primary image as long as your product images are saved in the cloud and you have a product URL for them. So they would need to be hosted. So everything we've covered up until now is for the general tab, as you can see on the left-hand side. Now I'm going to move on to the attributes. The attributes have two fields. There's your UPC and your brand. So these are both very important, especially for SEO. If you are selling a reputable brand and your product has an international or national barcode, you would want to include this information, because the Google setup will crawl your pages, and it will identify your product by brand and by barcode, and make sure that you appear in similar searches and with the other products sold by your competition in the same category. You would make sure your products would be displayed at the right time, and hopefully your prices are competitive. Otherwise, you would not make the sale. And then on to product options. So the third tab in your product setup area is product options. There are many different options when it comes to product options. And for the example on the left, we're going to do a color option, and I've selected checkboxes. On the right-hand side, you can see the input type. At the moment, we're set to checkboxes, but you can do a drop-down list. You can also do radio buttons. You can do size, checkboxes, text fields, text area, date picker, and upload files. What this means is that you can set up and request your customers to upload a file before they check out or before they add the product to their cart. You could set a specific date if they were buying something that was date related. You can make a compulsory text field. So I know that we've got one client who actually has a female fashion brand, and within their services, you can choose to monogram initials onto your product. So it is a required text field that you would add your initials into the text field before you can add the product to cart, so that when the order comes through, the brand needs to look at the information on the order. They know exactly what to have monogrammed, and they can proceed with the customer's order. Also, there's no room for error because your customer has selected and added to cart and checked out. So if there is an error, it's not on your side. You can also choose within your product options to add or remove a rand value or percentage for each product option. So I haven't added anything or removed anything for this example, but on the left-hand side, you can see green, blue, red, yellow, and you could add or remove a rand value or a percentage, so that when your customer adds to cart on the front end, they would see a breakdown of the product option and the amount that would be added or removed from their product. And I will show you in one of the next slides as well. So here is an example of product options where we've said we have the size. So the option name is pack size, the input type is size, and I've added small, medium, and large. So I've said in the previous slide, I showed you the drop down with the different colors. And for this example, we've got the pack size. So if you look on the right-hand side, I've set up the colors on a drop-down arrow. So if the customer selects green, it will add 10% to the price above. The pack size is small, medium, or large. I haven't changed the price there, so the customer would need to change or to select their pack size. And of course, if you're using checkboxes, you can select multiple. If you're using a drop-down arrow, you would only be able to select one option. Size, you would also only be able to select one option. So the checkboxes are quite useful if you were buying, if your customer's buying something. Let's use a pizza as an example, where you needed to add multiple toppings. Your customer would go and select the tick boxes of the product they'd like to add. And then product variations. So something important to note is that the product options, you cannot track different product options by SKU. So you wouldn't be able to add a SKU quantity or a item quantity. Let's say for the green color, you would have 3 units. For the red color, you would have 20 units. For the black color, you would have 100 units. You wouldn't be able to monitor the stock at SKU or option level. If you were running a fashion brand, for instance, and you had an extra small that came in 3 different colors, a small that came in 3 different colors, and so on, you would need to or want to, as a shop owner, track the SKU and the different variations. You want to track their quantity to make sure that you didn't oversell the stock. So you would need to upgrade to the business plan for this to add the product variations feature, and then you can get extremely detailed and track your SKUs by available quantity, and you can also have pricing, different prices for each SKU. So if your large red was more expensive than your small green, you would be able to manage the prices differently. And then onto files. So we've touched on general attributes options, and now we're going to look at files. This is what you would use if you were selling a digital product, where your customer would purchase something, and instead of shipping an item to them, they would be downloading a file. This is where you would upload the file. On the free plan, we don't have the option to sell digital products. You can sell digital products on the Venture, the Business, and the Unlimited plans as well. So you could upgrade to one of those plans and upload your file. The customer would then place their order, and when the payment has been received, or you could set it to do or to invoice and then send the emailer, the customer would receive an email with a download link. The customer, you can then set in the e-goods section of your settings, you can set a link lifetime in hours. So you could choose if you wanted the link to expire within a certain amount of hours. You could also leave that blank and there would be no limit. And you can set a number of downloadable attempts. So if you said 1 in that field, you would only be able to download the file once. And if you left it blank, there would be no limit to the amount of downloads. Tax and shipping. This is something that we have touched on in one of the earlier webinars, and they will be available or are available on the YouTube channel. So please go and have a look. We've got taxes and shipping. Generally, I think best practice is to set up taxes and shipping across the entire store rather through the shipping and pickup settings. But you can also do it at product level, which is what you can see on the slide at the moment. Basically, if you had a specific product, and let's call it a furniture item, you would need to set up specific shipping methods for this item because it's obviously much larger and would cost you more to ship. And you would want it to have a different shipping method compared to the other products in your store. You would do that on this screen. I also mentioned shipping by weight and dimensions earlier. This is something that you can use on the business or unlimited plans, where you could set up an actual shipping rate per item depending on its weight and dimensions. Shipping rates, by default, your store's shipping methods are applied to all of your products. And as I mentioned a couple of seconds ago, you would need to update the shipping methods per product if you had unique products. You can also set up your free shipping or your fixed rate shipping from this tab as well. But again, you want to do that across your entire store. And I think the same applies to taxes. If you had a product that was tax exempt, you could enable or disable this product in the tax settings within the product on the tax and shipping tab. But what I've done for my test shop is set up taxes across the entire store, meaning that the tax settings are by default applied to all of my products. and there's no reason for me to go in there and change those unless I had a tax-exempt product. Related products, extremely important to your business. I think, again, if I look in the terms of in a brick and mortar environment, your customer goes to the store, they buy what they want, they get to checkout, but on the way to checkout, they walk down an aisle and they see something else they want, and they get to the counter and there are basket fillers on the counter, or the sweetie aisle on the way through the queue when you're heading towards the checkout. And it's very important to add related products to your catalog. So there are a couple of ways to do it. You could use similar products, maybe different flavors or different colors of the same product. Alternatively, if you were doing something like an electronic product that required batteries or a cable, you would then add those products as the related products because they're complementary. Alternatively, you would add your different variety of products, or maybe you had a skincare routine. If you were selling beauty products, you would be buying a cleanser and you would add your moisturizer and your serum as related products so that your customer could actually buy into the entire range. So it's a very good way to upsell, to increase your basket size, and to expose the full range or alternative products to your customer if they haven't seen them along the shopping experience. What you could do to add related products is go to the Related Products tab and you would click on Assign Products. You can then see the pop-up on the right where the Assign Products tab would appear. You can then select the products that you want to show as related products, and you can select Add. You can also click on Display Random Products and set a quantity. So if you look on the left-hand side, if I had enabled the Display Random Products and set it to 5, it means that the system would automatically allocate 5 random products when your customers are shopping on the product page as well as at checkout, and the customers would be able to, or the customers would obviously see products that were either relevant or not relevant. It's completely up to you. This is an example of how the related products would look. You can also change the title. So for my test shop, I've said you may also like, and you can see there my product ribbons again, and the system is using the products that I've allocated specifically to this product, and I didn't use the random option. At checkout, you can also add the related products so that when your customer is getting ready to check out, and this can be quite strategic as well, especially to increase that basket size for complementary products. Your customer will get to checkout, they will agree to your terms and conditions and immediately see that there are additional products that they might like, and they can instantly add them to their cart and proceed to checkout. So this has been quite a high-level overview of adding and managing products within your Netcash shop environment. Some of the items we will break down in a lot more detail, and I mentioned SEO earlier. There's so much information that we need to run through, which is why I didn't bring it up in today's session. But what I would suggest is pop down to our blog, and we are adding new content every week. As we release new features and products, we will add them to the blog as well. And we have a comprehensive help center, so please go and have a look at the help center. We've broken down each step of running your online business, and we've documented it and created the help center for you to explore and find and learn about new features, as well as set up the existing features. And then please have a look at the upcoming webinars. Next week, we'll be doing managing your categories in your online store. So that will be a full breakdown on product categories and how to visually add them to your website, as well as the technical side. And you can join the online event on the day. Alternatively, you can fill in the form and sign up and download the calendar invite to add it to your calendar. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. It's stephen.howard@netcash.co.za. And of course, our website is shop.netcash.co.za. We look forward to seeing you next week at the upcoming webinar. And again, please feel free to reach out.